on all the moments. The one thing that I wanted to convey is you have to be in all the moments. So whether they are on YouTube ads, display ads, or search ads, you have to be on all the platforms. It may vary business to business, but that's how I think your approach should begin with. And of course, the testing part, I'll come to that later. But essentially, when you're beginning, whatever your budget is, I strongly recommend, if you have a decent budget, always try to make sure that certain amount is allocated for each and every platform. Okay. Because let's say you are doing only search ad, but once that person comes to your website, forgets about it, there is no way, unless he's searching, you're going to show your ad to. And there's one biggest limitation of search ads is, which people don't usually commit, it has the limit of scale. So once your budget, let's say, start exceeding from 5 lakh to 50 lakhs or even 10 lakhs, right? Let's say only a limited number of people are searching for a product. There is no way your ad can reach to a people beyond that. If in that 5 lakh budget, you're able to show your ad to 5 lakh people, it will not exceed unless the number of searches are exceeding itself. So the point is, you eventually need to go beyond it. I'm not talking about Facebook ads. Let's say you only want to advertise on the Google ad assets. So we may shift to, let's say, display, or we may shift to YouTube ads itself. So first thing that I wanted to recommend strongly is again, like having everything, having a certain part of the budget allocated to all medium. And I always give this finance and an analogy here. So it's like planning your, let's say, investment. So let's say you have a 5-10 lakhs budget to invest. You don't want to put all of that into mutual funds, right? Or maybe you don't want to put all in SBI card share, right? You probably want to diversify it. You want to invest a certain bit of it in, let's say, the motor segment by Tata Motors. You want to, I would want advice on financial aspect, maybe that's not legal, right? But essentially the point is, you need to diversify your spend, diversify your investment. Similarly, when you are trying it for Google Ads, try to diversify your ad spend. And maybe it doesn't turn out to be completely correct, but eventually as an advertiser, in the very first few weeks, you're going to take a lot of learnings from your initial ad spend.
Yeah.
Now moving on is my second tip is always on the funnel, which funnel is actually not becoming obsolete. Yeah.
I feel you are sharing something. You are sharing something?
No, I'm just reading something. I just have some notes.
I thought you were sharing your screen. So
no, I'm not.
Yeah.
So the second aspect that I wanted to talk about is targeting, which is the second part of advertising itself. So I always approach, even in our agency, we follow this funnel-based strategy for any kind of client. But funnel itself is becoming obsolete, I feel. But I think still its discussion is relevant even in these times. So let's say someone comes on a platform, is not going to buy in the first case, right? It's like, I always give the analogy of like the dating, right? You go and meet a girl, you're not going to say I love you in the very first go. Right? Its same goes here as well. Someone who comes to your website, he probably visits the home page and at best one more page just to identify what the product is. He's left. But the point is, you have been able to capture that moment. And now whenever it's next, so he must have been, let's say, assume, I want to know moment. He searched for best Google Analytics courses in Bangalore. You came up, you captured him in that moment. The next approach should be, how do I capture him in the other moment? So let's say he dropped off and now he's searching for, let's say, a Telugu song, right? Botta Boma, right? And there he's searching that, the song ends, probably he's going to sleep, your ads comes again. And that's the point where you are probably reminding him that, hey, you have visited my website and we have a very fantastic course for this, right? So essentially you have to follow him through all steps in the funnel until he make the purchase. Your communication, of course, plays a very important part, but you have to have this idea that you have to keep hitting him before he actually leaves the funnel. And there's a tons of research on this in e-commerce right now. In 2019, the recent research suggested that before making a purchase, on an average, a consumer has 9 touch points with the brand. And by nine touch points, it means on variety of levels. Maybe he's looking at a product by an influencer. He's he looked at your ad from Facebook, he looked at your ad from Google Ads, and eventually he probably made a purchase. But essentially, the number of touch points that is happening with your brand is exceeding with time. The more options a consumer have, the more competitive your industry is, the chances are the touch points are going to be even higher, unless of course you are the best in the industry. But your approach should be that wherever that platform is, you need to actually show your ad to. And finally, and of course I have also in the article I'm trying to mention how you can understand these funnels, how people are actually moving through different advertising platforms. So you can check this in Google Analytics. There is specific you can say approaches, and I think there are tons of resources you can go and find out. The last thing I want to talk about is making your ads contextual, and I think Pranav also made a good commentary on that. But what I want to tell you, and I think I have, this might be relevant. Let me share the screen. Right, so can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Perfect. So I've given one example, actually, while writing the article, I noticed this. So this was probably an ad I saw from Taboola, which is a native advertising platform, right? And if you just search, you'll find this. But the moments later, I went back, visited YouTube. I have another ad, right? But I want you to notice the difference in the communication. In my very first touch point, their communication was fast and easy native ads network, reach 1 billion monthly users. I've also attached the landing page in here. Look at the communication here. They are simply telling like what you can do with the platform, right? Reach potential consumers and 2 or 3 case studies, right? I leave this platform, right? What is the next thing you want to say to the customer? If you keep saying the same thing, probably you're annoying. Remember that Vivo ad that appears on the TV every like 30 seconds during the IPL IPL ads? That's very irritating. And I think this is what Google ads or digital ads give us the potential. Now, when I go back to, let me zoom in. So the next ad which I see is how to discover new audiences with Taboola. So this is interesting. They didn't tell me like what you can do with it. Now they are telling me how you can exactly do it.
They're answering the question kind of thing.
Specific right. They're taking me deeper into the product now, because I'm aware what Taboola is, what capacity it has. Now it's showing me how that actually works, right? And this is a good 34 seconds video, right? So essentially the point is based on what step your customer is in the funnel, your ads and your, I won't say ads again, I would say your communication needs to change. You cannot say the same thing again and again unless it makes sense, right? So whenever you plan your ads, always ensure what your customer might be looking for in a particular moment. Once he has left your website, what is the next thing that you can go out and say to him, which will add the credibility for your brand? Yeah, so essentially, I think that is it from my talk for today. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask.
Yeah, sure, Siddharth. We are having, let us see, there are a few discussions. If there is any potential question, I will ask you right now. Let me have a look. I think Subhenduji is asking a few more questions. Yeah, one more question. When we upload prospect email, like he is mentioning to everyone, anyone who is interested can answer this. But as you're speaking, you can try to take this. If you're not comfortable taking it, you can pass it on. When we upload prospect email IDs, they're mostly the email IDs with their business domain. Could you please tell how will they see the ads in Google, or only Gmail IDs of people will work in case of email upload? Also, what kind of ads will be possible? Display only or video only?
Right, definitely. So, I mean, it depends upon how many accounts are actually associated. So if I'm not wrong, like I'm using 3 different Gmail IDs, and a lot of people here must be using as well, right? So it depends upon the kind of browser, the kind of device you're using, and in which particular devices you have different email IDs used. So it has multiple connotations actually, this question. But essentially the point is, as long as the email ID you have uploaded, and as long as the person whose email ID it is, he's using the same device with which he visited your website, or with which he particularly interacted with you, is going to be shown that particular ad.
Actually, Subhenduji's question I could understand better than you. Why? Because I know his perspective. He worked for a B2B company. He's a global marketing head of that company. So he's asking that perspective. So if a B2B employee is looking at an ad, because they are serving for that ad, that is for the, not for the customer. It's a B2B thing. So they will be displayed in the work computer, that will be displayed. So once they go back to their house, so what will happen? Maybe this is a complex question where maybe it can't be answered in such
let
easy.
me give you one perspective on this. So let's say so what happens is, when you visit a website, Google use two things to actually create a user ID in Google Analytics. So if you see, go to users, you'll be able to see the user ID. So one thing it uses is the browser that you are using, right? And the second thing it uses is a timestamp, right? And there are other factors which are actually attached to it, but essentially these are the two unique parts which creates a user ID.
Okay.
Right? The moment you change that browser, that information is not relevant, right? So let's say you go back to your mobile, right? And like specifically that browser is not the same one that you're using in your desktop. The chances are those ads won't appear in your feed as well, right? So the point is, and the one of the thing that and even if you're, let's say I'm talking about if you don't have Google installed in your phone as well. So this can happen if you have seen, if you are using Facebook ads and you visit a website, right? And you go back and check it in a different like mobile phone, specifically your ad is not going to appear. So how those devices are connected, like if Facebook is actually like logged in the browser that you are using, the chances are you're going to see the ad, otherwise you don't. And
Maybe
they
I
are
think,
I feel he is talking about that customer match audience. He's talking about like once we upload data like Gmail data or company IDs that we have, right? And custom in like when I was talking about, he have mentioned also, like I was talking at that time like uploading customer match audience.
yeah,
So
yeah.
mainly Excel sheet data you have where you have like Gmail IDs, official IDs, and you upload that data into your campaign. You can use that data for the purpose of like remarketing or showing ad to that specific audience if you have that data. So answer is, I feel even corporate IDs are acceptable. Even corporate IDs are acceptable if they are sometimes they are associated with, because a lot of IDs are these days associated with Google, what we say, yeah, Google plan. So yeah, G Suite. Exactly. G
This
Suite.
one.
Yeah, yeah. So G Suite, they are associated with it. So, and Google don't accept all the data. If you upload like 1,000 data, they will upload on the basis of their process, maybe 700 data, 800 data, and they process that data, and then eventually they will, at last they will show you how much data is populating. So they won't show you status of all the IDs. They will
Okay.
show, yeah, they will show you random figure of that data, that orders that the data have populated in your campaign. If you will go in your audience manager section, there you can see all the data that populated into your, by after uploading it, after uploading your customer match data, right?
So to be specific, yeah, if
Can I
that's
add
the
to that?
question is about email addresses, Casey, you're telling something?
Yeah, can I add to that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
So I think it's one of the most important questions that gets asked when you deal with clients, and it's
Right.
and it's one of the absolute icebreakers if you really want to get the client. If you answer this question right, you get the client, right?
Yeah.
So if you try and understand, so first of all, Shubhendu, I think it's an amazing question. No matter, irrespective of the fact that you're uploading Gmail IDs or corporate IDs, your remarketing works on cookies. So the
Right.
cookie gets installed on your browser. So irrespective of what email ID you've given, you're using a particular browser. So the cookies are installed on your browser. Along with what Siddharth has already mentioned, now devices are right, but on top of that, there is another layer. If both of your devices are connected to the same IP, there is a good chance that the ad will also show on your mobile phone, though you're not using the same browser.
Okay.
Let's say more often than not, if I'm using the same office IP address on both my Wi-Fi network on my phone and my laptop, if I see the same example that Siddharth mentioned, if I see a Taboola ad on my desktop on my browser, there is a good chance that it will show on my YouTube feed also, though I'm not using a browser because I'm sharing the same IP address.
Right.
So the question is, irrespective of what email ID, whether it's corporate email ID, whether it's on G Suite, whether it's on some other mail server, because it is a cookie-based tracking system, as long as the cookie is active, you will start seeing those ads. Doesn't matter if it's a corporate ID or a personal email ID.
This brings me to a more interesting question, Casey. IP means generally when we are at work, we have a different IP, and when we are at home, we have a different
Yes.
IP.
Yes.
But because of Corona, now this is a shift.
Right.
This will be a shift because in future many companies are considering that they will be shifting their offices. They will be allowing people to actually work from home.
Right.
They will be having that tier 2 place locations, small
Right.
locations and all.
Right.
So with this happening for some time, this can definitely have an impact on how things are running.
But they'll always use a VPN.
Okay.
So everybody using the VPN will have the same network, like a wide area network that they'll be using. So this is exactly what happens when you're working for either Google or Accenture or any of the big companies which have a US masked IP address.
Okay.
So if you want to log into the internal tools that you want to access, you would have to log into the VPN first.
Okay. Okay.
So as long as you're a part of the VPN, it's all the same network.
Okay. Okay. That's great. So it seems like three people having three perspectives for a question. We have a lot of things cleared up. That's the advantage of having different people with different perspectives. So a lot of values added, and the question is answered in all the angles. Like it has been attacked from all the angles. I think Subhenduji has got his answer. And maybe one more thing which comes like a common sense thing. I don't know if that common sense is very absurd. What I think is, when you're trying to run ads, is it possible on Google that we can run the ads in specific times?
Yes.
So if Subhenduji's question is that, or maybe his question may not be that one, but the challenge is like if you run ads, if you run ads in the work time, will that actually help him?
But your remarketing, most of the decisions that people take when you're running remarketing campaigns happens outside the targeted hours. For example, if you're talking about, let's say we're talking about, I've seen specifically these ads by Domino's. I think this was back in 2010, 2011. So Domino's always used to run ads from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Always.
Okay.
Right, because that time is what matters the most for them to gather as much as possible. But if they only stick to those times, and if they don't show the ad afterwards, the recall is only very limited. But if they run remarketing campaigns even after I go home, so probably I'll be thinking about pizza for lunch the next day.
Yeah.
So that's one reason I feel strict scheduled hours may not work always.
No, but why I'm telling this thing is like for these people, they're a B2B audience.
Right.
And generally what I see is for B2B audience, the first interaction to a sale
Right.
can be as long as 1 year.
Right.
So that is what I generally see. In B2C,
Right.
just this impulsive one, like especially the example you gave, the Domino's is very, very much different segment than what this thing is there.
No, the overall theme is your consideration can happen at any point in time.
Okay.
So maybe you're driving back from work. That's when you think that maybe I've seen an ad. If the recall is strong enough, the timing doesn't matter. It supersedes the timing.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Yes, yes.
That is how Coca-Cola has created the brand by showing the hoarding across the location and everything and creating the mind impact. I think whatever Siddharth or whatever Chaitanya told is absolutely correct, because creating their brand presence every time in front of the audience is so important. Because nowadays I see that most of the people on Facebook, they dedicatedly put 150 rupees and they say, let it keep on running, but let it run. Let's not stop it.
True.
Okay. Let us move on to any other question is there. I think omnipresence marketing, whatever you talk, that only people are actually replicating it. Thank you for actively participating, Sagar. Sagar is one of the active participants in this thing, asking many questions. Renik said, doesn't diversifying ad spends exhaust your budget faster? That was the question.
Yeah, definitely. So that's why I said if you have a decent budget, definitely if you are diversifying your ad budget, you need a decent amount of ad budget. And depends upon your scale of business. What is the decent ad budget might change.
Yeah, the
For some
competition,
it
the
can be,
product value and all. Yeah.
yeah, for some business it can be like 2 lakhs. For some it can be 20 lakhs. So depending upon what your business is, it can vary. But I would say that we have run diversified ad campaign in up to 1 lakhs of ad budget. And I think it has been profitable for us. But essentially, again, the diversification also can change, can be limited or delimited based on the kind of results you're getting. So, but the point is, again, the very first thing I said, as long as you feel that your customer is on multiple platforms, they are going out there searching for things, you should definitely show your ad at those places.
And even diversifying doesn't need to happen at the same time. For example, if I'm running a 300 rupees a day budget, today I can run a search campaign. Tomorrow I might run a display campaign, and day after tomorrow I run a YouTube campaign. So I don't have to diversify all these things at once. So I can try different things, and then I can find out whatever is the winner, and then I can replicate that.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Sometimes like decision making can be faster. Sometimes decision making is slow. So there might be a number of touch points. What Siddharth has mentioned, like we all know as marketers, definitely every customer goes to touch points. When we see our own example, हम diapers खरीदने से पहले भी कितना बार देखते हैं. मतलब आप लोग सब लोग सिद्धार्थ may not be relate with this, but others can relate. कहाँ से सस्ता मिल रहा है बोल के हम देखते हैं. मतलब Amazon में सस्ता मिल रहा है कि इधर सस्ता मिल रहा है. Because we are human beings. It's not that if you have money or not, you always have that feeling that I should get things in a deal. I should always get some unfair advantage. That's a human greed is there in everyone. So we always want to say to someone, अरे यार मैंने तो iPhone लिया ना, इतना मैं डील में लिया था, मेरे को सस्ता पड़ा था. Everyone wants to say मेरे को सस्ता पड़ा था. But brand को ही पता है, marketer को ही पता है क्या सस्ता है क्या नहीं है. Because we're all marketers, we know same product is sold to different people at different price points, and we also do that as business people and marketers. So ultimately, one more question is there here. I'm trying targeting method, custom affinity, where I'm targeting same competitor URLs, 10 to 15 pages that relevant to client services to target their traffic. That's something it has worked before you for you to get conversion, good CTR for any B2B. Any other suggestions? Did you get this question? I'm not able to. I mean, definitely I will not be able to
I
get it
understood
properly.
it.
Yeah.
I understood it. So honestly, I'll be very honest. So we haven't tried this in B2B campaign.
Okay.
Like mostly our ad spend in this particular case has been in B2C campaigns where we have been like successful. And I would say the recent campaign I was discussing with my team. So I don't go into the campaign, so I don't know the exact like results right now because I totally work in the sales last 1 year. So I think there is one client in online fitness niche, which kind of offers online diet plans. We tried this, it has been massively successful. Like if I have to go exactly in the numbers, we are hitting like almost 10x ROI on this, right? And that is on the repeat as well as the new purchases, just for the clarity. The second kind of campaign we did is for an online coaching class, which offers coaching for the law students. So I want to make it even more contextual. So where I have actually used this, because it may or may not, the same strategy may not work on the other clients. That's why I wanted to be more contextual. I think Pranav can give a better answer if this is about education. But B2B, I think I haven't really tried this in there.
It's not a specific education question or something like that. Yeah, it's. I think we have justified it. We don't need to worry. And Subhenduji is saying he's happy about this. Hats off to this group, and he's saying that a lot of value is being added. So thank you all for the insights which we are being sharing, because these are real stuff you people are sharing, which is very hard to get outside. We don't get to talk this level at this level of connection, because we are having such marketers together. We are able to talk at this level, or else we can't be doing this. So Siddharth, it's like really a good session from you. That knowledge sharing is really good. Let's move on to Casey. Casey, so your thing is about Google Ads and the daily automation. Use the word
Yes.
called daily automation.
Yeah.
I was bit intrigued by that automation because I know Google Ads थोड़ा पता है कि वो ad run करो, वो सर्च होता है, फिर कोई क्लिक करता है, क्लिक करने के बाद वो funnel enter करो, जो भी करो, उसके बाद मेरे को कुछ नहीं पता. So from there you have to tell us.
Yeah, sure. See, the whole point of coming up with that was there are the difference between a business that has been successful with Google Ads and a business that has been ultra